Last week, I think we all watched the Netflix docudrama, which is Social Dilemma, which discusses the harmful effects of social media. And we thought like that would be a very good topic for this episode. So, if in case you guys listening have not watched it, please do go ahead and watch it on Netflix. I highly recommend it. In this episode, we'll be sharing our opinions about the documentary and talk about some of the issues that it raises, right? But first and foremost, like, what do you guys think about the documentary as a whole?
Okay, let me start. Like, spoilers ahead. So, yeah, the documentary was good, as in it discussed a lot of issues that are happening currently. And there was definitely an element of added drama to some of the fictional characters that they had put in. But the message that some of the main cast and some of the main folks who were involved in the documentary were saying were definitely true. The fear that they are having about the impact on the, or the negative impacts of social media is very much, I would say, a reality, and it is something to look into. But I also feel that uh, there is an added element of fear to whatever they're saying. It could take a more optimistic viewpoint also. That is what I felt.
Yeah, I guess we watched it what, like about 1, 2 weeks back. It was an interesting show, definitely to watch, but it was also kind of ridiculous in a way, very over the top. And I guess what I didn't like a lot about it was the over TV drama-esque sort of vibe that the show wanted to portray. Like the family, how they interact with each other, and those weird three sociopath triplets that were controlling this guy's mind and the social media feed. I did not
Yeah.
really. I get it's a metaphor, but I didn't really like the way they portrayed it, I guess. And I agree what Suji said, that it brings out a lot of good points about the dangers of social media and how it is impacting how we interact with everyone else in the world. But it also makes it feel like social media is the reason for all the problems in the world. Almost in a cartoonish way, like old school villains where one person wears a mad scientist hat and like ha ha ha, I'm going to destroy the world. It seems like that is the only reason, and I don't really think that is true. And also, don't you guys like think it's ironic that the documentary is trying to say social media is causing all this outrage and misinformation in the world while also doing the same thing while telling the message to us?
Yeah, to add to what Shrideep was saying, right? So some of the things when I was watching the documentary itself, it felt like these are things that I knew already. But looking back, I can probably assume that maybe the documentary is not targeted at, say, an audience who's my age, probably for a younger generation who started growing up with mobiles. For me, say, mobile phone and internet came very late into my life, around, say, when I was 15, 16. But for kids who are using, say, internet from, say, 5, 6 years old, I think it's a very good documentary to watch and be aware of what they're doing.
Yeah. So speaking of our generation, like I remember a time like when we were on Facebook all the time in college, like we used to do weird stuff, do those weird poetry stuff. I hope you remember some of the poems that we wrote on Facebook,
Yes.
which we even now go back and like check after 12 years. The adventures of Spoony Stupor.
Oh God. Why?
Yeah.
It's
So yeah. But from that time, we have kind of evolved right now. Nowadays, we use social media for like totally different purposes. Like Facebook, I've like stopped using completely. Like unless you guys like ask me to check any post that we posted like 12 years back. Right. Right now, I only have a Twitter which I check for like very specific purposes, like fantasy football or something like that. There's been a drastic change in like how we personally use social media, right? I know you guys use Instagram, so like, how do you feel like it has changed for you guys, like from earlier to now?
Yeah. So in a way, yes, I remember back in school, like uh, yeah, I was obsessed with Facebook. I was there on Facebook 24/7. I was talking to enormous number of people, following a lot of pages, writing on walls. That was a thing back then. Um,
Yeah.
and over time now,
Shri,
yeah.
If I remember correctly, you were not allowed to use Facebook, right, when we were in class 11 and 12.
In school, no, I was not. In 11th and 12th, I was not allowed to use
Yeah,
Facebook because we had to do
yeah,
boards and study for exams and Indian people
yeah.
problems.
All that, all that pent-up energy was released right after Shrideep reached college. Like boom.
Pretty much. I went full on in socializing with Facebook, and Facebook was a good tool to do that because everyone was there and everyone was online most of the time. So it worked. But now when I look back, I hardly use the Facebook. I use it for groups or something, or for tracking events if something's around. I do use Instagram, but that too, I open the app only if I want to share something or if someone shares me something and then I look at it. I don't sit in a day and just at bed looking at posts. I don't really do that. So the way I consume social media has decreased a lot. On the other hand, YouTube, I have an addiction, I think. So that is where I spend like 90% of my time just looking at random videos. But I don't know whether to consider YouTube as exactly a social media or not. But yes, the way I consume social media has changed quite a bit.
Yep, I guess it's the same case for me, I would say, because around the same age, I would say school, early years of college, I was also using Facebook a lot. I think that was a time when forming social connections was a lot easier through Facebook. And when things were Facebook and Twitter were becoming big, a lot of people, a lot of friends we knew were on there. They were doing a lot of things. And I guess in some form, it was like a social pressure for us. And we also started doing this. And yeah, there were definitely a lot of good moments over there, a lot of fun things to do. But the addictive part was definitely true, where a lot of times I would just log into Facebook, check out 4 or 5 posts that are there. I'll get bored, I'll close it. 10 minutes later, I'll open that back up again to see if there's something new. So from there, I would also say that I don't use Facebook anymore. I don't have Facebook Messenger on my phone anymore. Like at one point, I used to check Facebook just for birthdays. I used to get birthday notifications, but right now
Yeah.
it's more of like unless something or the other comes up, I just open it up. That's pretty much my use with Facebook. Instagram is something that I use a lot right now. I use Instagram more for my art, where I post a lot of my sketches, look and follow a lot of art pages to get some ideas, get some insights. But the key difference I would say from back then to now is most of my social media usage is just to interact with a limited set of friends that I have. I'm not looking to make more connections. I'm not looking to interact with more people through my use of social media. That I would say has been the biggest change for me.
Good self
Yeah.
plug, Suji. Follow him at Sauce Potato Chip on Instagram.
Sauce potato chip.
Yes, yes. Link in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that is like I feel like most of our generation's perspective today. I think like even a couple of our friends also probably are the same way when it comes to like their usage of social media. But I guess a generation below us or a younger generation to us, I see are like using it more and more often. They're always on Instagram or always on Twitter or whatever it may be.
That was part one of a discussion on social media. Check out the full episode on your favorite podcasting platforms. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media. Links in the description below.